Hi, it's Kip Finlay Bates here, and today I thought I would talk about ICOs and DAOs. Now, those of you with long memories, and by cryptocurrency standards, this is a long time ago, there was a craze in the 2017, early 2018 period of cryptocurrency life where ICOs, or independent coin offerings, became very, very popular as a means for raising funds. The initial idea was that the funds raised would be used to further the aims of various projects in a kind of Kickstarter crowdfunding sort of a way. However, the result was a lot of scams and a lot of bad execution, and ultimately a lot of lost money on the part of the investors. And as a result, the SEC and other regulatory bodies started clamping down on ICOs, and that's a good thing too. The underlying problem, of course, is a combination of investor stupidity and over-optimistic at best expectations on the part of inexperienced project founders as to what they can achieve in what time frame. And then, of course, you have the whole criminal element where they are literally just trying to defraud people. So when you think about it, if you've got a bunch of people saying, we're going to do something cool, give us some money, and we'll take the money and put it in a suitcase that we'll carry around with us, if you put it like that, most people would not invest. There's no control in place. There's no governance structure that decides how the funds are to be spent. Ultimately, you're putting the control in the hands of a bunch of people, and you're trusting that when they wrote in their white paper that they're going to use this money like this and that money like that, that those plans and predictions are actually meaningful and are accurate and are not going to need to change. And as anybody who's run a startup knows, plans go out the window every month, and you need to be able to change and pivot and reallocate resources as you get more information on what the marketplace is like and what the needs are and what the difficulty of the tasks that you're undertaking is. So it's not surprising that it all went wrong, and we all thought that we'd kind of seen the back of it, but I'm now seeing a resurgence of the ICO concept using DAOs. So the idea here is that, well, given that handing a suitcase of money over to a bunch of people and then trusting them to do a good job is not a safe or reliable way to fund a project, is there a better way? And the answer that has been come up with in a blockchainy, let's do everything decentralized manner is the DAO, a distributed autonomous organization in which a smart contract controls the funds. So instead of giving the suitcase of money to the project founders, what you're doing is you're giving the suitcase of money to an impartial financial agent that is going to look after that money for everybody. And then you give the people who handed over the money tokens that allow them to vote on what circumstances that money can be released. So this is kind of like giving shareholders the vote on various proposals for a company. And as a result, it keeps both the investors and the project managers connected and engaged with each other, or at least that's the idea. And then you have regular votes to decide whether this much or that much should be released for marketing, how much should be budgeted on development, and so on and so forth. Now, again, I think the idea sounds great in principle. You're taking traditional startup structure where you have investors funding companies, and in return the investors expect a seat or two or three on the board and control of the startup, and they then pull the purse strings, and the founders and developers try their best to achieve the aims that have been set in order to make the company a success and make everybody wealthy and happy, and of course making the investors the wealthiest and the happiest. The traditional startup world has lots and lots of problems, one of them being that VCs typically back 10 companies, expect each of the founders of those 10 companies to put their life and soul into their company work at little or no compensation, with the carrot being dangled that one day their company may be a unicorn and they will become personally very, very rich. But of course, the VCs eventually shut down the majority of these projects, and those founders end up with nothing. And not just that, they end up with a 5-year period of their life that they worked on minimum pay for long, long hours with no reward at the end, and they had no control over this final event happening. Now, with DAOs, I guess the hope is that that kind of thing can't happen, but I suspect that over the next few years we're going to see how well these things actually work. And in particular, I expect that bugs or badly chosen voting systems are going to be one of the bugbears that plague these kind of crowdfunding ventures. So it'll be interesting to watch. I hope you found this summary as to the lead up of the new wave of ICOs that we're starting to see, or that we actually have seen over the last few years. And I'll see you all in the next video soon. Bye for now.